What have you always had a hard time with? Same, I have severe social anxiety and almost no friends, and I can say I spent 90% of my life in my room. Few days ago I applied for a uni, PS it is best known uni in my country. They shortlisted me out of thousands of candidates and invited me for interview, but I didn't show up for interview because I had my anxiety at peak on the interview day, because I never had such experience in life before, and having the thought of being questioned from random strangers scared me to death, and I cried the whole day contemplating what I would do with such socially anxious ass in life. I could see a dark future ahead of me. Coping with rejection. For others, the thought of being rejected usually comes from the scenario of confessing to someone whom you've recently taken a romantic interest in. However, people usually don't give light to certain situations in the act of rejection, like being rejected from a job interview, being rejected by your family and friends because of your personal likes and dislikes, and so on. It may not sound much, but the avalanche of pain that comes from rejection usually scar most people, leading them to give up on what they were doing or try from the ground up. Social cues. Like they are just so hard to grasp, and I am so bad at seeing small things. Especially with the other gender or when alcohol is involved. I'd rather people were blunt with me, cause I would at least know what is going on. Okay, here's what to do: stare at people and wait till you see something weird, and if it's important, say something. Somehow movies really helped me with that, like a bed in Community. I'm not on the spectrum, but somehow Hollywood helped me connect the dots and better relate to others. Describing someone. I'm pretty oblivious in general when it comes to appearances. It took me like a week to realize that my sister dyed her hair a darker shade, but describing someone is nearly impossible for me for whatever reason. I can pick people out of a crowd super easily, like it's not that I don't recognize people, but if I'm not staring directly at you, it's like every physical aspect of you just doesn't exist. I know exactly what people look like, but I just can't picture it if I'm trying to describe them. Same, sometimes I wonder if I happen to witness any crime and cops ask me to describe what the person looked like, then I would be there standing like, ugh. Lol, I wonder that a lot too. I feel like what started that was that there was this academic bowl I had to go to in 8th grade, and one thing dealt with something similar, where during the presentation, someone walked in, handed the presenter a letter, and then left, and immediately afterwards they asked what we noticed about the person that walked in and interrupted, and people were out there listing the type of bracelet she had on and the color skirt she was wearing, and somebody couldn't remember if she had light brown or dark brown hair, and I was just sitting there thinking I would make an absolutely horrible witness for anything because I genuinely remembered nothing about her. It's such a weird feeling. Remembering things. Not like I have memory loss, but if someone tells me to do something and I establish that it's important, I just forget. My mom gets pretty upset at that one, and I honestly don't have an explanation other than I just forgot. It's also why I have like 30+ notifs at a time. I keep them there because despite me being very interested in whatever YouTube video pops up, or whatever person texts me, if I get rid of the notif, I will absolutely forget about it. Sometimes I leave people hanging for days just because I forgot they texted me. I also have a hard time convincing people that it's not that I don't care about what they say or do, I just forget. Chemistry and the level of math and molecular understanding required for that. My mom and I spent a solid week just trying to get me to understand the basic concept of oxidation numbers and the stuff that comes with it, and I still cannot understand them. I've had it explained to me at least a dozen times by 4 separate people, having it dumbed down very far for me, and I still can't wrap my head around it. Needless to say, I switched into the easier chem class because I would have failed hard. I have no work ethic. Even now I have been working from home since April, I still look for ways to avoid doing work. It's really difficult to look busy working from home. Some days I give in and do actual work. The problem is I seem to be just useful enough to keep around. I file things in weird places so only I know how to find them. Reading aloud. I have a mild dyslexic tendencies. When I read aloud all the words look like jumbled mess, and I also tend to put 2 words together. For example, I read how and rowdy as howdy in class. Even if I read in my native language, not English, I sound like I have a different accent or something. Also stuttering. It doesn't happen when I read in my head.